Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about the 2019 National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA for short, which I know is a riveting subject. I looked on the main news, and it's all about Manafort and Cohen and shit I don't care about. It's all complete bullshit, so I just don't want to talk about that. I'll talk about something that flew under the radar. This was last week that this act was signed by our dear leader, President Trump. And we're going to talk about how stupid it is. Why? You didn't hear about the news. Of course you didn't hear about it in the news. Why would the news report something important like an increase of $21 billion in defense spending? Defense spending. Of course they're not going to fucking report on that. They're going to report on, what did Cohen say on this document about Manafort that talked about Russians and Trump's, like, all that just complete nonsense. Complete utter fucking bullshit. Which I've already talked about. I mean, it's already been ad nauseum talked about, have all this complete bullshit. But we're getting off subject because we're not talking about that as I talk about it. So what is the NDAA? Well, you might have heard the NDAA from 2012, yeah, that was it. Which was exposed by Edward Snowden as spying on Americans, breaking lots of amendments, breaking our human rights, whatever. But the NDAA, they pass that every year. It's an annual bill. It's basically the defense bill for every year. So there's an NDAA for every single year. And Trump just signed the one for 2019. I'm reading off my screen. Authorizes $717 billion in defense spending. Why do I do this every single time? Say defense, because you know it's not for defense. It's for offense. It's for maintaining our global empire. It's for maintaining all of our military bases that don't seek to defend Americans at all. It goes to increase our empire, to maintain our empire, to maintain our military bases around the world, to maintain the war on terror, to maintain the war on drugs, specifically in South America, but it happens all around the world. Shit like that has nothing to do with defense. But they call it defense because it sounds nice. Then when you're against it, they'll say, you're against defending America? You're a traitor. You're an ISIS sympathizer. No. I just don't think that spending as much money as the next 10 countries combined on defense, I don't think it's a good idea. Oh, I don't also think it's not a good idea to spend money we don't have. And also to kill innocent civilians, being the biggest terrorist on the planet. And then getting innocent American servicemen killed, lying to them, saying that they're defending our freedom, whatever. All this included, all of the caveats in what is being funded by this act, this bill. So let's go into it, shall we? So we already said it's $717 billion. We already said it's $21 billion over last year's bill. And lo and behold, it increased the deficit. Wow. Spending money we don't have on things we don't need is increasing the deficit. Wow, what a surprise. Not only that, but it includes funding to other countries. What funding, you may say? The media doesn't really talk about this much, but it supports Saudi Arabia killing civilians in Yemen. It supports Nigeria killing its own civilians. It supports Somalia killing its own civilians. It ironically supports Yemen killing its own civilians while Saudi Arabia is doing the exact same fucking thing. It funds Pakistan killing its own civilians. It funds Iraq killing its own civilians. It funds Afghanistan killing its own civilians again and again, ad nauseum, ad fucking nauseum. You wonder why people don't like America across the world. You wonder why people don't like America across the world. You wonder why they view us as terrorists. When we are giving so much fucking money and weapons to the people who are kicking down their doors and then shooting their kids in the face and raping their wife in front of their eyes, how can you see that? Is there no wonder they view us as terrorists? Imagine just the other way around. Imagine if, hypothetically, Mexico was involved in some military conflict on our southern border, and Russia was giving them a buttload of weapons and military training and money. So Mexicans were kicking down doors in Arizona, for example, and then murdering American civilians and then raping American women and all this stuff. Do you think we would view the Russians as terrorists for enabling this? Of course we would. I would like to see anyone argue, no, that's not the case. Now you can see why people across the world view us as terrorists, because we're funding this. to the tune of $717 billion, which we don't have. Now, obviously, not all that billion goes to funding other countries' militaries. In fact, the vast majority of it doesn't. But it's part of it. We can't deny it. He goes on, I'll leave a link to the Libertarians' official statement on this completely fucking retarded bill. Oh, do you want to see how long the bill is? I'll link the actual bill. Congress puts all its bills online, you know. So anyone who remains ignorant on its bills is ignorant by choice, because you can access all of it online. And guess how many pages it is? Ties in another thing of why you hear libertarians say, I want every single bill passed by the government to be like a page or two at most. Very simple, very non-Leviathan, very only necessary to maintain government and to protect our rights. Nothing more. It is 778, I want to get the exact, 700, and I butchered it. It is 788 fucking pages long. This one bill is that long. How many of our fucking retarded ass senators and congressmen, senators and House members, how many of them actually read the entire fucking thing? Well, with an average IQ of like 68, you can believe that not all of them read it. Those who did read it didn't understand a goddamn thing. There's only a few that probably read all of it. In fact, there was one bill that Rand Paul is the only person who actually read the entire thing. Dozens upon dozens of congressmen voted for this bill. He was the only one who read the entire thing and voted no. No, that's how our government is. Passing. Just listen to the absurdity of this statement. We have a government that passes a bill that spends billions upon billions of dollars that we don't have, that hardly any of them read. And this is completely okay, and the vast majority of Americans continue to vote in these two parties that are doing exactly this. And you wonder why I'm a libertarian. You wonder why I'm a libertarian. You wonder why I don't like this fucking bullshit. It's so fucking absurd. But it doesn't go on in day-to-day life. So if you don't watch this video or look up the bill on congress.gov, then you wouldn't know about it. You wouldn't know to the extent of the absurdity our government operates. You'll just be like, yeah, they're dumb. Yeah, everyone knows government's dumb, but it's necessary. Whatever, I'm fine. I go to work, I go home and watch TV. Everything's fine. Whatever. No, it's not. It's fucking not. I'm trying to tell you why it's fucking not okay. So in the official statement, he goes on. Nicholas Sarwark goes on. He's the Libertarian National Chair. He goes on and says, the bill only benefits the defense industry, the military-industrial complex, and the surveillance leviathan. That's an important one, because people usually forgot about the NDA since 2012 because it's been 6 years, and their short-term memory is about 3 days. The average American memory. Do you forget all of the rights that the NDA was breaking? All the amendments that we are guaranteed by the Constitution to have, all the amendments it was breaking, the 4th and 6th, I remember off the top of my head. Yeah, that didn't go away. Edward Snowden talked about it. There was a huge uproar. People were pissed off. And that was the end of it. The government didn't stop. Why? Because they keep on voting on the same parties that support it. That's what Americans just don't fucking get. They keep on voting for the same two parties who continue doing the shitty-ass fucking policies that are ruining this country, and then they sit at home. Well, why is this country being ruined? Look at your voting habits. Again, like in my previous video when I talked about Matt Waters versus Tim Kaine on versus the libertarian stance on issues versus the democratic stance on issues, I would like anyone to try to tell me that this is a good idea. That going into debt this much is a good idea. That this military, all this military spending is actually defending us instead of furthering a terroristic empire. So beat me on that claim. How supporting all these countries killing its own civilians is a good idea. Spying on American citizens and breaking their amendment rights, the fourth thing. I'm just like, please, someone for the love of God, debate me on why any of this is okay. You can't. No one comments on my videos. Not that I get many views in the first place. That's the reason why. But it's just like, I have not seen a statist argument that can fucking beat those things. They can't convince me that, yes, this is actually defending America. This is actually for our own good. It is totally worth the price in money and blood we will pay. They can't convince me. I'm open. I'm all ears, man. The bill includes 6.3 billion funding for troops for Europe, which actually isn't that much out of the entire thing, but still completely unnecessary because the wars ended decades ago. World War II, yeah, they didn't get the fuck out of here. There's no reason why we should be there. No reason why we should be in South Korea, for example. Anyway, he goes on. And ends with Libertarian Party advocates peace with all nations, stands apart from the Republicans and Democrats who share a bipartisan commitment to more war, more strife, and more death throughout the world. Can someone please refute that? Can someone please comment and say the Republicans and Democrats do not want more war, strife, and death? Point out their policies that do not advocate those, and show me why I'm wrong. I have been waiting for so long. That's why I'm a libertarian. I'm a staunch libertarian, and I have no problem supporting peace over war, strife, and death. Oh, and crippling debt that could like destroy our nation's economy. Think of how much goods, $717 billion, could be used for things that we need in this country. Like, for example, we could just not spend it and just try to cut a hole in the huge deficit that we're spending each year. We could do that. We can not spend on anything. We can spend it actually defending the border so innocent Americans don't get killed by illegal criminals. We could do that. Unlike other libertarians, I don't have a problem with the government building the roads as long as they fucking do it correctly and not spend all this money and still have a lot of potholes on 66, for the love of God. But you just Google like how many bridges in the country are near collapse, and there's like 40 plus bridges that need of dire repair, but no one has money to do it, and no one's competent enough to do it. Yeah, why don't we spend some of that billions of dollars on that? Why don't we try to fix the crappy school system that doesn't teach our kids jack shit? $717 billion can go a long way. And obviously, I don't want to cut the defense budget down to zero. You think I'm fucking retarded or something? Of course not. Of course I don't want the $717 billion to go down to zero. But it can be a heck of a lot less. Why did I censor heck when I said far worse on this video? It's a hell of a lot less. It doesn't need to be to defend ourselves against Russia and China. Like let's just hypothetically say that Russia and China are looming threats that need to be defended against. Do we really need to spend as much as them and then the other 7 top 10 countries combined to properly defend ourselves? I think we should spend less money on defense and efficiently spend it better to beat the threats from China and Russia than to pour billions and billions of dollars, just overkill the hell out of the budget to feel safe when we're not even safe in the first place. Okay, so let's go on to the next article. So we've already talked through this a bit. Here's another aspect we didn't touch on. We touched on several aspects in regards to the funding of other governments that kill their own civilians, the service members that we killed as a result of these policies, as continuing having our military bases and military operations which are not completely not in the country's interest, and just further getting service members killed, as well as our own civilians at home whenever terrorists seek revenge against their family getting drone striked at a wedding, for example. Whatever. We talked about all these things. Talk about another aspect of it. This is from The Hill. The Senate Armed Service Committee's version of an annual defense bill will authorize the Pentagon to conduct surveillance on individuals conducting hacking or disinformation campaigns on behalf of the Russian government. A clear reference to Moscow's interference in the 2016 presidential election, which 2 years later, I'm still waiting for all this evidence of interference. I see a bunch of liberal faggots who are mad that their girl Hillary lost, and they're trying to project their own failures on something else, and they picked Russia. Russia's the boogeyman. So I'm still waiting on, side note, I'm still waiting for all the information that Russia hacked the election. But whatever, we're getting off topic here. The Pentagon is allowed to conduct surveillance on people suspected of spreading disinformation. Now, obviously, I am perfectly fine with the Pentagon spending money to go after actual hackers that are, for example, trying to knock out the power grid or knock out the nuclear reactors controls or something like that. Like actual terrorist activities that have been thwarted and have, like people have done that. I'm not saying, it's never happened. What I'm concerned about is that someone who is accused of spreading disinformation can now be surveyed on without due process. Their amendment rights will be violated. Disinformation, according to the government, according to mainstream media, according to the oligarchy that controls our country, disinformation is simply information they don't like, information that makes them look bad, information that talks smack about their candidate and props to the candidate they don't like. The problem is we don't have a clear definition of disinformation and people abuse the definition. We have a opportunity for government to abuse their power when they are allowed to go after anyone that they don't like and just say, well, they're spreading disinformation, therefore we have the right to conduct surveillance on them and break their amendment rights, whatever. How many people, I'm just asking the audience, how many people have been accused of being a Russian bot because you posted something that's pro-Trump or anti-Democrat? I've been accused of being a Russian bot. Almost every single right-winger I know, or anyone who's not a far leftist, has been accused of being a Russian bot because they post something on a forum or on a comment section that talks smack about Hillary or about the Democrats in general, whatever. That's disinformation. So when people's definition of working on behalf of the Russian government or being a Russian bot or spreading disinformation on behalf of the Russians is so broad as to include everything but extreme leftist policies, then you can see why this bill and this provision is ripe for corruption and ripe for big government to break people's rights. It's a ripe to take advantage of this little caveat in the law and crack down on free speech, crack down on people simply voicing another opinion different than the mainstream media's far leftist view on things. So no, the government does not have a right to say, I don't like what this guy posted. That's disinformation. He's a Russian bot. We're going to surveil him. Without a warrant, without any way that he could figure it out, without any due process whatsoever, we're just going to spy on him. You're going to say, well, Robert, the government's not going to waste their time doing that. Really? Have you seen the metadata capture by the NDA that Snowden exposed back in 2012? They were listening on almost every single way of communication, landlines, cell phones, email, text. They were gathering everything. They were such assholes, basically. They were so over the top in capturing every single piece of data that they could get that you think they won't bother with online comments, with forum posts or blog posts or even, I don't know, YouTube crap, for example. How many people have been fired from their jobs? Sorry, my screen keeps going black. How many people have been fired from their jobs because of videos they post on YouTube just saying a different opinion that's not far leftist? How many people have been censored? How many people have been kicked off Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Patreon, whatever? You think the government doesn't give a shit about this? So that's all I have to say about that because the article basically repeats itself 10,000 times. There's no point in saying that, the same thing over and over again. And there's no point in saying that the Democrats think that Trump didn't respond to the Russia meddling in a correct manner because that is completely laughable. And since there was no Russia meddling to begin with, you can't... Since there's no Russia meddling to begin with, you can't not act on something appropriately. It didn't exist in the first place. Sorry, Democrats. Keep on going, whining on and on and on about shit about Russia. It's funny to watch, but it's complete bullshit. And there you have it. And that, in a nutshell, what's that, like 19 minutes after editing, is why this bill is complete fucking bullshit, and why I don't support it, and why I'm a libertarian, and why the Democrats and Republicans need to be voted the fuck out every single office they occupy, and new parties need to be put in. One, like the Libertarian Party, for example, who doesn't want to run the nation into a fuckload of debt, doesn't want to conduct the war on terror, the war on drugs, which kill innocent people and break their human rights. Doesn't want to crack down free speech by saying that anything they don't like is disinformation. I mean, just across the board, bad fucking policy.